Good afternoon. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. And we'll go ahead and get started. I know, they're sharing. So, wait a minute. Let me look at something here. I have to take this. Okay. I need we're going to have an approval of minutes. So I need a motion to bring that forth. Matt, thank you. And Terry. Thank you. Are there any comments, questions, or changes here? There are none. So all those in favor respond with an aye. Mhm. Aye. Okay. You all need to speak up just a little bit louder. I heard you, Sharon. All right. Any opposing? There are none, so we pass with that. Okay, let's move on to the informational items, and starting with our county clerk office, Miss Rachel Parker. And before you begin, Miss Rachel. Remember our last meeting? I asked about a did you know, perhaps informing us of something that we don't know about your particular department. If you have that information, we would appreciate you sharing it with us. Otherwise, we'll put it till the next time.
All right. First of all, there's no changes to the report that was in everyone's packet.
Okay.
And did you know, or actually, I'll just share some information from, we get questions a lot when people come in and they've had like a death and they're owning a property and someone's passed away and they want to know, what do they have to do, basically. So on the back of our quitclaim deeds is forms of ownership explanation. So what I'm just going to do is read the 4 different types of ownership, just so people have some idea of what it is. So, as a property or homeowner, your deed defines the form of ownership and how the title for the property changes upon death of the owner. The following are definitions that are the most common references in a deed. Sole ownership. Only one person owns the property solely by themselves, and no other person has any interest in the property. Upon the death of the sole owner, the interest passes to those listed in the will or as determined by probate. Another type is joint tenancy. 2 or more joint tenants together form an undivided interest. These interests are equally divided between the tenants, occurring under the same conveyance and beginning at the same time. The tenants have the right of survivorship, and upon death of a joint tenant, interest in the property passes to the surviving tenant rather than to the heirs of the deceased. The third one is tenancy in common. 2 or more tenants together form an undivided interest, where the interest may not be equally divided between the tenants. Upon the death of a tenant, no right of survivorship exists, and interest passes to those listed in the will or as determined by probate. And the last one is tenancy by entirety. A form of ownership where husband and wife each own the entire property together. In the event of the death of one spouse, the surviving spouse owns the entire property without probate.
Mm-hmm. That's good news.
So
Good information.
That's kind of one of the questions that we get a lot when people come in upon
I
divorce.
do have a question as you were reading that. Now, would you receive a public notice in regards to a death? How would your department be notified?
We don't do anything unless someone comes to us.
Okay.
We don't reach out to them.
So we don't know if there's a period of time that stays on the record as far as a person have died and no notification is made.
Well, the record's not going to change again until someone comes in to make some type of change to that property. Either it's going to be sold,
Yes.
or they want to find out, yes, my husband passed away. Is the house just in my name? We've had instances where it was a couple and the wife comes in because her husband passes away, and then she finds out her name was never ever put on the property. So it's just something that you want to think about and make sure that you have on the property who you want to have on the property, and make sure it's deeded, or the title of the deed is the way you want it to be.
Oh,
because unfortunately people don't think about that until something
Sit down.
happens.
Yes, of course. Hmm. Good to know. Good to know.
So that's my
Any-
tidbit for today.
Any questions or comments to Miss Rachel? Thank you.
I do
Very
have one
good.
more thing.
Okay.
It's time for the statement of economic interest, and
Oh,
all of you have
yes.
done real well with turning your statements in, but we do have a few that are still outstanding, and I'll try to catch those board members as they come in the next
Okay.
couple days. But thank you all for getting those in quickly because they really came in pretty fast this time.
Now, isn't there a deadline for that?
It is May 1st.
May 1st, and then after that, what?
Then
There's a
there'll be a charge.
penalty.
Mhm.
Okay. So reminding all of us, if you haven't gotten it in, you better get it taken care of.
I will say everyone in this room has turned theirs in.
Wonderful. All right. Good job. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Moving on to County Election Commission, and Miss Jessie will stand in instead for Elizabeth.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
So I am
Would you speak more into the mic for us, please?
sorry. I am replacing Elizabeth today. She is teaching, I believe, elementary school students today about government. But I just wanted to give a quick overview of the primary election now that the results are officially certified and canvassed. Turnout was pretty low this election at 14.8%. In 2020, turnout was at 22% for the primary, and then in 2016, it was at 43%.
Wow.
So this was particularly low turnout, but there weren't very many real races on the ballot, so we think that kind of makes sense. Of that 14.8%, 5.8% the voters voted by mail. 2% was early voters, and then the other 7% was election day voters. And we sent out over 10,600 vote by mail ballots, but our return rate was at 62%, which is also lower than previous elections. Typically, our return rate is closer to 90%, but again, this was an election where a lot of people didn't care as much.
Yeah.
Additionally, we did have enough election judges for the primary, but we are still recruiting for the general election as it will be a lot crazier. So we're hoping to get about 50 to 100 more judges this summer. So we are starting our recruiting processes. And then for our Did You Know, I guess I will say that this was our first election that we piloted our Vote Anywhere concept. So any voter could vote at any of our 55 polling places.
Yeah.
All voters are still assigned a polling place, but that just allows more flexibility in the voting process.
Great. Yes.
Any questions?
Yes. And that vote anywhere, is that just state of Illinois or Peoria? Do we know?
It's not all counties in Illinois. I think just a few counties are doing
doing
it.
that.
I think DuPage is one of the counties. Not all areas have the capabilities to do vote
Okay.
anywhere.
Sure.
Some areas don't use poll books, so they still print out their voter rolls and have election judges manually find each voter's name. So a lot of smaller jurisdictions would not be able to do that, but we have the technology in place to implement the vote anywhere concept, and we've had it for a couple years now, but the law didn't always allow for voters to vote outside of their home polling place.
Okay. Yeah. Any comments? I do have one other thing. Anybody
Sure.
else? Yes. Jane.
Do you, by chance, know the data of the percentage of voters that actually utilize that benefit?
Yeah, it was, so we had 7% of voters of that 14 who voted in person, and 8% of that 7% utilized that vote anywhere concept. So that was quite a few hundred that previously would have been told you either need to vote provisionally or go back to your home polling place to vote. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And then one other thing in regards to that vote by mail, and I understand you indicated it was much lower and probably had to do with, who was running more or less. But at the same time, do you have plans to go after the ones who did not respond at all, or
Um, so do you mean in regards to
to
returning
the
their
vote?
ballot?
Yes.
I would say not necessarily. So part of the reason we think we had lower turnout is because this is our first primary election with permanent vote by mail being in place. So a lot of voters signed up for permanent vote by mail for all elections. And so some of those voters likely maybe didn't want to vote because there wasn't any race that they
Sure.
really cared about, especially when there's only one person running in a lot of these races. It's not really a competition. We expect that the vote by mail return rate will go back to being pretty high for this next election, though.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions, comments for Miss Jessie? Yes, Ms. Jeannie.
I guess for the record, so that it's in there, so if somebody did not know why, like that it's never been explained, can you just explain how the new software allows us to be able to vote anywhere where the ballot's printed on demand, so that, just so that people, if nobody knew and we're talking about how you could vote and with all the questions around voting, just for the record, explain how that became possible.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm happy to explain more. So, Peoria County, we have poll pads, and those poll pads each poll pad has every registered voter in the county, and all of our poll pads are talking to each other on election day, and we use MiFis to do that. And the MiFis are connected to, they're connected only to the poll pads, basically. And so a voter can go to Woodland Baptist Church and vote, and then if they went to the election commission to vote, it would show that that voter has already voted because of the MiFis talking to each other. Does that make sense? And in other counties, they don't have poll pads, so the jurisdiction will print out a list of registered voters for that location, and the election judges have to find that voter. So there's no automatic process showing that someone has voted already.
Somebody had a question in the audience.
So I have a question. So with the ability to vote at any polling place now, will you guys reduce like polling places? Like if the turnout wasn't as good as normal, will the polling places be reduced because of that? Or no?
I would say not in the near future will we lower the amount of polling places that we have. I think maybe in the further future, but right now we will be sticking with our 55 polling places. But the idea behind vote centers is that in practice you'd be able to have less polling places because voters could go to any of these. But we are not at the point where we would implement that part yet, and I think we are quite a few years out from that.
Yeah. I apologize. Would you repeat Brooke's question, or Brooke, would you repeat that again, please? Your question, your comment that you made.
Yeah, so Brooke's question was, with the implementation of Vote Anywhere, will we eventually lower the amount of polling places that we have because voters can go to any locations?
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Miss Jessie. Very good. All right, moving on to our supervisor of assessment, Mr. Dave Ryan. Oh, he's ready to get in that chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't steal Nicole's thunder because she comes up next, but we are gearing up for the next couple of weeks to handle the increased load of phone calls. We're expecting quite a bit because, as you know, we did the revaluation. We sent notices to everybody, but a lot of people don't realize the impact until they actually get their tax bill. So we will be getting quite a few phone calls. Most all of the phone calls, we will not be able to help them with their tax bill. That will be something they needed to file an assessment complaint regarding that in 2023. So, but there is some things we can do if we missed exemptions or there was objective errors, something along that line. But majority of the calls will basically be my taxes are too high. So we will handle those, and we are gearing up to get our 2024 assessments. Those should be done sometime in August, and unfortunately, or guess how you look at it. We're looking at some significant increases across the board by township along that line too. So that'll generate a whole other impact of phone calls when that occurs. So we're looking at that. And other than that, I guess a fun fact that we have is, as I mentioned, the tax cycle. Obviously, we work with the county clerk and treasurer's office as part of the tax cycle. But another office we work with or have been the last several years is the Veterans Administration Office. And individuals, mainly because of the disabled veterans, the law that was passed allowing those exemptions. So the permanent, what we call permanent exemptions, or individuals over 70% disabled, basically get their whole tax bill wiped out. Unless they're in the city of Peoria, they still have to pay that garbage fee. But we currently have over 1,000 individuals that we've helped with that, and it's resulted in over $60 million in assessed value has been taken off for the disabled veterans regarding that. So that was just for 2023. So that continues to increase. So we work hand in hand with that office also. And even though they're not considered part of the tax cycle, they're another office that we work with. So.
Good to know. Great. Okay. Any questions, comments to Mr. Dave? I do have one question comment in regards to your office. Once you receive incorrect call, if I may say it that way, are your department is equipped to direct them to the proper departments or what?
Yes, we kind of talked about that briefly. Typically, it's the local township assessor. They're the ones that can that start the valuation process. So typically, we refer them to their local township assessor.
Okay, yeah.
There is a wide range of township assessors and what they get paid, how often they work, etc. So we've got a pretty good idea which ones to forward those to and which ones that we can just answer those questions. What we try to do is we don't like to always forward them to another office, forward them to another office, forward them to another office.
Sure.
Sometimes we have to do that. There's no way around it. But what we like to do if we can't find the question is to take their number, us find the answer for them, and then get back to them. So that's what we try to do. But there'll be a high volume, very high volume of phone calls coming pretty soon. So
I'm sure that's much appreciated. Yeah. Mr. Jimmy.
Dave, so you said 60 million in assessed evaluation?
yes.
So that's about average of 60,000 if there's 1,000. So is that also, I know you have to be considered by the government to be disabled, but is there income based also, like, you know, if I'm in a $100,000 house, you have to be that value. So this can't be for somebody that's living in $1 million house or a $500,000 house that has the means to pay for it, or it just doesn't matter?
Well, currently it is, the law states it's up to 250,000 assessed, which times 3 would be $750,000 home. So if you're in a home that we currently have a market value of over 750,000, you would not be eligible for the exemption. I think there's only a couple people who've inquired about that are over that limit. So yeah, most everybody, obviously I would guess 99% of the people that are applying for that obviously are under a $750,000 home here.
Good to know. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Jimmy.
Is that also age based or no?
No.
So in theory, you could have 4 children all at school age and you pay $0 to the school system?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. If there's none other, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now our treasurer's report. It's Nicole Berkey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Dave always steals my thunder every time. We are still collecting mobile home bills. They're due May 1st. So we're starting to see an influx of payments from that. Tax bills. They are at the printer as we speak. The online availability will be turned on Monday. So people could actually print off their tax bill starting Monday and bring it in and start making payments if they wanted to.
Those who want to.
They will be mailed probably definitely by May 1st, but maybe a day or two before that.
Mm-hmm.
They are blue this year. The due dates are June 4th, September 4th, and then our tax sale will be November 4th. Fun fact is we have goat yoga in our office every Friday.
What was that again? You have what in your office?
Goat yoga. No, I know taxes are not fun, so I just wanted to joke. The thing about the do you know, or did you know, we've got a new payment vendor this year for electronic payments and phone payments, and we're really excited about it. This payment vendor, when you sign up and you register, you can receive, or you can do pay by text. So if you sign up for that, you can get a notification that your bill is coming due, and it will text you, and you can click on a link and pay from that, and you can see your bill from that. You can set yourself up for reminders so you're not late. That's going to hurt my revenue budget. Sorry, Scott, but it's for the taxpayers.
Yeah.
You can set yourself up for auto pay, so you can go in and put in your bank account information, which is all very safe, and it will send you a reminder a couple days before the auto pay happens, so that you can make sure you have enough money in your bank account, but then it will automatically pay your June installment and your September installment.
Yeah.
It will let you know when the payment's applied so that you know it's been received. We are obviously accepting Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover, but now we also have Venmo and PayPal and Google Pay and Apple Pay. So we get a lot of questions regarding, can we make multiple installment payments? And we are not set up for that. We are set up for the first installment and second installment, but with PayPal, you can do 4 installments. And those installments are with PayPal, not with us. So we get the full amount that you're trying to pay with PayPal, and then you owe the 4 installments to PayPal, not to us.
Yes.
So we're really excited about it. It should be
That's
really
wonderful.
good.
Yeah.
We're going to be sending out press releases. Some of the information's already on our website, and so you can go straight to the website and register, or you can go through our online real estate system and do pay taxes, and it will take you there, and you can you can register your account.
Great. I'm sure that's all much appreciated. Yeah.
I hope so. The convenience fee is a little bit more, but you're paying for what you get too.
Yes.
So
Okay. Any questions, comments to Miss Nicole? Okay. I'm trying to think of one question I might have for you.
You're very good at that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, and in regards to our Veterans Assistance Commission, Mike Brooks will not be here, but I do have some information I'd like to pass on that to let everyone know that the VAC's office, they will be moving to their new location, and it will be at the corner of, think of Lake Street and Knoxville, where the Gold Fine and Bowles office is, right next door to that. And that'll take place on Friday, April 26th. And the office will be closed at that time on that particular day, back open, I believe, on Monday. Okay. So most of us are excited about the move for them. I know there's been some concerns and questions, but we're going to allow them to go forth right now. Any questions, comments in that regards? All right. And now we have a quarterly strategic plan update by Scott
Right.
Sorrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You'll find, starting on page 5 in the packet, this is your first quarter report, but every quarter going forward, you'll receive a report similar to this that gives you some status changes and updates to each of the 19 strategic plan action items or goals that you've previously adopted. It's organized by committee. There are none of the 19 that report out to this committee. So I'm happy to answer any questions about anything in the report, but nothing specific to highlight for this committee.
Okay. If there are none, okay, let us move on. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Let us move on to we have a resolution, one resolution in regards to our monthly delinquent taxes, and one for that list for the January 2024, and it has 7 items, and one for the monthly resolution list for April 2024, 1 item. I'd like to get a motion to bring that to the floor. Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Ms. Sharon. Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, let's take it for a vote. All those in favor, let us say aye. Aye. Okay, I heard everybody that time. Are those opposed? There are none. And this resolution has been moved at this time. Okay, and then moving on, any public comments? Okay, there are none. Miscellaneous? There are none. Okay, this meeting has been adjourned. Thank you.